Hey. I was thinking, and so I wanted to come on here and share my thoughts with you. As you may know, I'm reading from my book, The Beautiful Journey, during the month of October. I want to share my experience going through breast cancer to give a little glimpse, but also to be able to give hope for people, encourage people, and possibly be an inspiration. Yesterday, when I did my video, it was titled Hurry Up and Wait, because that's what I felt like I was doing at that time. I was just ready to get things moving forward, and it seemed like everything was just taking forever. Today, the title is Moving in Forward Motion. The quotation that centers this is by Victor Kiam. It says, even if you fall on your face, you're still moving forward. Now, I don't share everything in this book. So when I start reading this part, you may be a little confused. So I will definitely make sure I fill in the gaps when necessary. But this is what the blog post said for that day. Finally, I have a date for surgery. It will take place on Monday, November 30th. I will have surgery to remove my lymph nodes to see if any cancer cells travel to the lymph nodes and possibly other sites. So one of the things that they weren't sure is that my cancer, if it traveled anywhere. So they like to do a dissection of your lymph nodes. And sometimes they do it after surgery when you have a mastectomy done or a lumpectomy. But I was doing this prior to because it was going to help me determine, if I was going to do chemotherapy, and if so, how much. And so that's where we are. And this says, as you may recall, this will help determine how much chemotherapy I will receive. Of course, I'm praying for the lesser of the two treatments. The aggressive chemo can affect my organs more than the other. Also, if I have to do the aggressive chemo, I would have to do additional testing in order to see if my heart would be able to handle it. The next blog comes from November 19th, 2 days later, 42 days since diagnosis. Today started out pretty good. I woke up early and decided to catch up on my work. I needed to tie up some loose ends, especially since my treatment is coming up soon. I turned on my bath water and then took out my garbage. As I walked back to my garage and past my truck, I thought to myself, I should scan my inventory for work. My company sells medical devices, and typically we are there in surgery to ensure that the devices work correctly. I keep my products in my trunk so that they're accessible when needed. Periodically, I have to scan the products to do a check, excuse me, and balance on my inventory. This allows me to verify that I didn't misplace or lose any product. After I scanned my product, I called one of my coworkers to see when and where we could meet so I can give her the scanner. Once we set up a time to meet, I headed back upstairs to get dressed. What is that noise? I couldn't figure out what that sound was that I was hearing. Did I leave the radio on again? Because I was good for doing that. As I got closer to my bedroom, I was able to figure it out. It was my bath water. 2.5 hours after I started running my bath, how could I forget that I was running bath water? Fortunately for me, in my home, there's an invisible drain somewhere that didn't let my tub overflow. That would have been a disaster. 2.5 hours of water running at full blast. My water bill is going to be ridiculous. Needless to say, I had to wait another hour before my water heated up again so I could take a bath. My bathroom smelled like a swimming pool with all the chlorine that was in the water. I guess this is what stress can do to you. I was totally distracted. And I apologize for my voice. I think the change in weather is doing this to it. After the near disaster, I received a phone call from the surgery department. They have moved my surgery up from November 30th to the 25th, so things are moving. But that was the day before Thanksgiving. I guess it's good news. At least the process is beginning sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, it's the day before my favorite holiday. Hopefully, I'll do fine with the surgery and I'll be able to eat like I want to. This process has been something else. There are some things I don't even share in my blog because it just seems like too much at some times. However, I will share with you that I did go to genetic counseling. I talked about that, and I'm not a carrier. And also, I don't know if I shared with you all that I had gone to the Gathering Place. The Gathering Place is a facility here for people who are affected by cancer. So whether you're going through cancer or someone you love is affected or going through cancer, you can go there and participate in their programs. And I decided to go because I thought it would be a great opportunity to be around other people who were going through what I was going through. I attended the orientation and was one of 3 new people. We were all recently diagnosed, and one person with breast cancer, which presented itself in her eyes, one with ovarian cancer, and then myself. Leading the orientation were 2 breast cancer survivors. We all had a nice time just being able to talk and share our experiences so far. I was the youngest in the group. Ironically, both of the other women were Russian. I shared with them that I had gone to Russia. I was selected as one of 3 volunteers for the United States. There was a peace run held in Volgograd, Russia, and communist countries from all over the world came together, plus the US, and we ran in peace. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm glad I had it because I will never go back to Russia again. But it was pretty good. You know, I did a 6.2 miles, a 10K, and it was like 30 to 40 degrees below zero when I went. Yeah. It was something because I learned so much about different cultures being there. I was there back in the 80s. So this is before the wall had come down between East and West Germany. So East Germany was still communist. It was still a communist country. And Russia was not Russia, it was still USSR. Like it had not separated at that point. But it was just something to be there and to be with these people and have this experience with them and relive something that I had gone through when I was younger. But one thing that I found out when I was with people at the Gathering Place, you know, I'm blogging, sharing my story with everybody, and some of these people hadn't even told their husbands. They hadn't told anybody. They were going through this by themselves. And I found myself being who I am, you know, trying to encourage them and help them through their own journey. And I realized, like, I'm not coming here for me, I'm really here for them. And so I didn't go back as often as I would have liked, just because it was draining, because I was still trying to, you know, learn how to navigate my own journey, but trying to help them through theirs. And they were way worse than I was because they was holding it inside. But it was something because it gave me the opportunity to see that everybody, you know, don't use these or their testimonies or their tests as testimonies, right? They don't share what they go through to help other people. And I believe that that's what we're supposed to do. I don't think that we go through things just for ourselves, but, you know, that was what they were doing. And, you know, I had to respect it. The cool thing about the Gathering Place, they have a library. All books there. My book is there, The Beautiful Journey. I gave them a copy, but also they had books that allowed me to learn more about what to expect in my journey with breast cancer. So that was pretty cool. Excuse me. Now, I told you my surgery got moved up. And prior to that surgery, I had my second opinion with the other hospital. That one, they said basically the same thing. The only thing that they would have done differently is chemo after the fact instead of prior to. So I felt comfortable with what I was dealing with at Cleveland Clinic. But they wanted to do another biopsy. And I was like, why? Because that biopsy was painful. It was not the same as I had remembered before. You know, and I was thinking to myself, like, why would I have a biopsy if I'm going to have surgery anyway? But, you know, I had to do what I felt was best. And to get as much information as I could, I just went along with it. I also remember during that time, that was the year when we had the swine flu going around. And we had the H1N1 virus, and we had the vaccine, and it was limited. So I was fortunate enough to be able to get on a list because I was actively going through cancer and chemotherapy. So they bumped me up. But I tell you, when I got bumped up, I still had to wait a long time to get it. But I was happy that I got that and also my my flu shot. I'm just trying to see what else I want to share. I think that is it for now. I want to let you all know that things were moving forward. And when I had that surgery, I'll just summarize it a little bit for you. They took out some lymph nodes to see if I had cancer, if there were any cells in my lymph nodes. And I remember that they told me that I talked a lot when I was under. They said I was talking about how in my job I worked in surgery, and I told them everything that I did. And I don't know what else I told them, but evidently I'm a talker when I'm under anesthesia. But it came back that there was no cells that was classified as cancer. So that was good news. The not so good news is that there was a cell that they couldn't say was or was not. So I had to make a decision. And so that's where we will start tomorrow, with what happened and what did I do. I just remember, I thought that I was moving forward, but it still felt as though it was slow motion. I just needed things to move at a faster pace, because at this point I'm a month and a half behind, or a month and a half out, and still haven't started the battle yet, right? So that's that. There were still a lot of unknowns, and I just couldn't worry myself about that. But I appreciate you taking this journey with me. And so what I think I'm going to do, and it's easy for me to do if I just remember, is to have questions for you to reflect on based on what I talked about. I'm going through this cancer journey. It's scary, but I had to face my fear, right? If I wanted to survive. And so my first question to you is, what are you willing to do that scares you? What are you willing to do that you're afraid of doing? How will you mentally and or physically prepare yourself for it? And then lastly, think of a time when you were facing adversity. Did you recognize the blessing in it? I go back to that card that I love, that I shared with you all the other day, that started with God. With God, every day is a day to begin again, to trust and feel his love for us, and know that in all the confusion, there's a gift to be found. In everything, in every mess, there's a blessing. So did you recognize the blessing in the adversity that you had to face? So that is it. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.